Hey y'all, back at you with another video, Armory Dozier. And today I'd like to talk about Juneteenth and what it really means. Well, Juneteenth is supposed to be when they freed all the slaves, and that's not accurate at all. Because if you look at the Emancipation Proclamation, you'll see that the word doesn't even mean free, like emancipation just means to transfer. The people that they freed, like in select colonies, I think the last place to really let go all the slaves were like Delaware, and that was like in the late 1800s. Not every place was even free on Juneteenth or the emancipation. What emancipation really means is to transfer. They went from being slaves to indentured servants or workers. Really didn't change much, because even after the emancipation and Juneteenth, quote unquote, had what was called the Black Code. Which were still in force, was where you could have vagrancies. Nobody had any place to go. Once you were free, you basically wandered, and then they made a bunch of rules to where they could put you back into slavery, or they would call it jail. You see where I'm going? To where if they would catch you being a vagrant, which is we call it now homelessness now, where you just out and didn't have any place to go. They'd pick you up and then put you back in the fields and put a ball and chain around your ankle. It didn't change, it didn't go anywhere, it just transformed into another form of slavery. And you can say that even today, to where everyone could be considered a slave. You get debt slave, you could be a job that you just make just enough to pay your bills. They control your time. That's a form of slavery. Slavery is still legal because you commit a crime, your freedom can be taken away. And people who are in prison work for very little. So what is that? That's slavery. Indentured servitude. Slavery never went anywhere. It just got changed, it got formed differently, and then certain people were being affected by it, but it's still the same people. Because even after we were quote unquote let go, there were the black codes where if you were caught out, you can get put back into the fields, or Jim Crow after that, and so on and so forth to modern day, to where you get jammed up with law enforcement. And you should really even look at where law enforcement even came from. KRS had a song called "It's the Sound of the Police, whoop whoop, that's the sound of the beast," and he had a part in the song where he'd say, "Officer, officer, officer, overseer, overseer, overseer," because you see the word officer actually came from the word overseer. That's the whole place of law enforcement, was always in place against us, because that was an overseer back during the slavery times, as you can see. Officer, overseer, they'd oversee the work, and that's another form of where the word cracker came from. So a lot of people think that people use the derogatory term cracker because of the color of Caucasians or Tamahu, but that's not accurate at all. A cracker, it comes from the term of the overseers, because the overseers used to crack the whip. They used to make a crack sound, so that's why I used to call them crackers, and even to this day. So it's not even a racial slur or anything to do with color. It's all about the action. It's all about the punishments you receive. That's what a cracker was. So back to being the overseer, the officer, that was always in place for you, against you, because what was the officer supposed to do? Protect property. You could even see that today, how you go to certain communities where people don't look like you, and they'll call the police because they're meant to police the property. But in your community, in our communities, you are the property. You are what they are trying to protect against, and nothing has changed. You could even look into the New York City police badge. You could see somebody cracking a whip on the badge. So nothing's changed. It's just changed forms and names to where we think, oh, they protect everybody, but they were never in place to protect you. Juneteenth was a date. A couple colonies got free, but there's still many more slaves still in bondage. We still got people in bondage now. How many people do you know locked up for uncriminal offenses? But you find people who are Tamahus or Caucasians that get out for 5 years for killing their entire family. But you see people in jail still who look like you and me who are doing 10 years for a dime bag, uncriminal offenses. What about the lady who's in prison because she sent her son to school underneath somebody's address because she was homeless? She's doing time in prison. But the lady who hung a toddler, who you already know, didn't do any time. She got probation. The rules are different, and how certain rules are in place against you. The law is always against you. It was never meant for you. The justice system was always for the people, and you aren't the people. You aren't the people. When they say we the people, they were never talking about you were the property. Like I always say, you were the property. Just think about it as you enjoy the July 4th, the Juneteenth. A lot of it still premature celebration, as they say. Not an accurate depiction of freedom, because you aren't still free if they're still killing us, if they're still putting us in bondage for uncriminal offenses. It's still a form of slavery. So I think that about sums it up. Take care now. You hear?